So change now, which is it's a really logical section of the course. So what I would recommend is that you really open your mind at this section and you really think about all of the knowledge that you gained over the 2-year course. So first of all, have a brief look at kind of some causes of change. So, technological change can obviously cause change for a business because of bringing out new products, but also new processes as well. So, we've got a nice picture here of the evolving mobile phone. Market changes, so changes that are happening external to your business with your competitors, maybe bringing out new products, maybe they're becoming more efficient, so their costs are lower, their prices therefore can be lower. Maybe a competitor going out of business, that could affect your business. It could increase the demand for your products as customers switch from the competitor. Consumers' tastes changing. If we think about your average consumer 50 years ago, they'd have had a very different shopping list to the average consumer now. And if we think about even, 5 years ago, what types of things were you buying that you're not buying anymore? So tastes, fashion are always changing. And businesses have to respond to that. Legislation as well changes. I've put this picture up because recently maternity and paternity laws have recently changed so that you can now switch maternity leave to the father, so that would be paternity leave. So that has an impact on businesses as well. Whereas if you're employing all men, you might think, well, I'm not going to have to give maternity leave. Well, just a small point. You can't just be a business and just employ all men just because you want to employ all men and you don't want to give anyone maternity leave, because that would be discrimination. But say it just happened that you were employing all men, you would actually have to kind of think about these things now with maternity leave, because it could be up to a year that you have off work. Workforce changes as well. Employees coming up for retirement can have an impact on it's my dog in the background. I don't know if you can hear her. She's quite a loud, heavy breather. But your workforce changing, coming up to retirement age, you might need to recruit new people, new skills may be required. Economic changes as well. We've obviously been through a lot of these things in the economics part of the section of the course. So have a look at that, but that can definitely affect the business. And just in summary, when I'm looking at causes of change, I really like to draw attention to the fact that some of these things will be external, so will come from the outside of the business, but some of these things can come from inside of the business as well. So think about the functions of the business and how these functions change over time and how they might have to adapt when you're thinking about causes of change. Effects of change, shorter product life cycles if you've got technological change, so you may be having to invest in research and development to bring out new products and adapt your products. Think about extension strategies, remember from Unit 2. If you've got social changes and changing consumer taste, you've got increased need for market research to be able to understand what's happening. If you've got retirement, a lot of people coming up for retirement, or even technological change, or changing, in terms of your product range because of consumer taste changing, you're going to have to train your workers, and so that's a cost to you as a business, but hopefully they'll become more efficient. You may need a more flexible workforce, definitely with that change in legislation that I mentioned before. You need an open culture as well. You need to develop a workplace where employees are not thrown by the concept that they might have to change and they might have to be adaptable. And you also may need to keep an eye on what competitors are doing, because that could be the source of those market changes. Change, generally speaking, people don't like doing, so it can be quite difficult. So you do get worker resistance, and where you get worker resistance, you may have high labour turnover, that would be an increased cost to you as a business, because you need to recruit new employees, maybe you need to train them up, you're losing people with skills, maybe they're even going to competitors. You may even get industrial action as well, so thinking about Unit 4 and trade unions and the action that they can take, go slow, strike, work to rule, those types of things. Customers may switch, customers may not like the change either, but you might be doing that deliberately. You might be changing your product range, changing your advertising to target a more profitable section of the market, and to try and not lose customers, but not concentrate as much on unprofitable customers, maybe. And suppliers may need to find other businesses to deal with if you're going to change your product ranges, and you don't need to have those deliveries coming in from a certain business anymore. So, how do managers deal with change? How can a business deal with change? Well, these are some, it's not exhaustive, this list, but these are some of the main points. First of all, you don't need to change unless there's a reason. You know that if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of saying. It's a bit like that with change. So you need to really communicate why you're doing this. Why change? So there's a problem and we must adapt to it, or we're being taken over by our competitors, and whatever it is, you've got to communicate that so that there is this need, and that everyone understands why you have to change. It's nice, it's courtesy to involve those people that are going to be affected by the change in the discussions that you're having about the change, and maybe the planning process. And it can get what we call like buy-in from those people that are going to be affected. If they feel like they've been consulted, they're much more likely to back the change and go along with it. No change is going to succeed if you don't allocate sufficient resources. So that might be money, but it might also be people, the right number of people working on the change project, whatever that is. You're going to need a project champion. So that's a little bit more than just a project manager. You're going to need somebody that really can be the sort of cheerleader for the project and be very positive and lead it, and maybe be a figurehead, the person that people look to and that represents the change. But also that person needs to be quite senior so that they have power to influence the change. So maybe if they've seen that it's going in the wrong direction, they have the power to influence the strategy and make sure that people are comfortable with it and it is moving in the right direction. And you may need project groups as well. Now this links to Unit 2 when we're looking at the matrix style of organisational structure, because you might want to take people from each department, so you've got a range of skills to form those project groups. But I think one of the biggest things with change is clear communication and making sure that people feel like they're involved. It's not just happening to them, that they're actually involved in the process as well, because when you're working in business, you're an adult, you're not a child. You want to be involved in the process and feel a little bit more ownership over it, autonomy over it as well, and have some input into it. Your most common question that you'll get on this is, I think from a few years ago, there was one which was analyse the changes in the market that have taken place. Actually, it wasn't a few years ago. I think it was the last exam, so June 2014, and it was the milk company one. So the changes that had taken place in the market and how the business could respond to those changes. So is there any theory that I can really teach you about that section? Not particularly. This is just a very much a general overview, but the key is to use all that business knowledge that you've gained in the 2 years that you've been studying this course and use it in those answers.